You're probably confused with what this is. You'll see in a bit, but I'm currently uploading one of my TikToks onto my YouTube channel. I'm going to start doing this, but probably not as often as normal people would. Essentially, my horror argument here is the sexualized nature of Five Nights at Freddy's. You'll see what I'm talking about when I show you it. I'm just here to explain to you why it's here. I just want more people to see it, and I also want to post something on my YouTube channel so it's not dead forever. So, let's carry on to the show you're about to see. Oh yeah, we're back in the bathroom. That means I have something to say. I have a bone to pick with you, Scott. Okay, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say you're not sexualizing your animatronics, but there are key moments in this franchise where animatronics were... Okay, let me give you... It started with her, Toy Chica. Now, whenever people saw this, they were like, oh my god, she's so hot. I want to put a kid in her. And then, like, everyone flocked to say, whoa, dude. It's just, she's a female. Like, you have to sexualize any female that looked vaguely attractive. And then everyone was like, okay, I didn't mean to offend anyone. And then everyone left it alone for a bit. And then we got her. Now, I will say that these two features are blatantly sexual, but then, and only then, people came up with a theory that, oh, it's supposed to represent William's wife, and, like, that's the reason why she has such womanly features. She looks more realistically womanly. Like, everything else has been animals and, like, fat children or humanoid animatronics that don't look quite right. But this one is blatantly human-like because, one, she's supposed to be a dance instructor, so she's supposed to look fit. People made reasons why she had to look like this. But next, and then we got her, Funtime Chica. Now, she has a bit more blatancy to how hot she is. And then everyone flocked again to say, oh my god, she's so hot. Like, I would totally smash her. And then then these people were like, well, yeah, she is pretty hot, but that doesn't mean you have to sexualize her. Or that doesn't mean Scott wants us to sexualize her. Then they have the people who say Scott would be so disappointed in us for sexualizing his animatronics. But I'll be the first to say that this fandom isn't exactly the best source of what is hot and what isn't hot. Because this is the same fandom that sexualized him, and most of all! And then continuing the argument that Scott doesn't want us sexualizing his animatronics, then he released these scenes of Funtime Chica and Ultimate Custom Night. Now you could say, oh, she's just trying to be kawaii and cute. She's not trying to sexualize herself. But then why do we have this? And then obviously this. Now this is more romance, like, ooh, kisses. Not sexual. Okay. You're keeping the argument that Scott doesn't want to sexualize these animatronics. Okay. All right. Okay. Keep saying that Scott doesn't want us to sexualize his animatronics. I can play this game too. So why in the ever-loving fuck do we have this motherfucker? All of you bitches who say Scott doesn't want us to sexualize the animatronics, look at this fucker and say that. Say it to my face that Scott doesn't understand that he's made hot animatronics. I'm waiting. Say it straight to his face. Come on, say it. Oh yeah, I'm in the bathroom. That means I have something to say. I have a bone to pick with you, Scott. Or more specifically, the people who want to speak underneath your word. Because you can argue that sexualizing animatronics may be wrong, because they're robots, that's weird. But this is not a video for the people who want to say that Scott wouldn't want us to. Continue watching. Now, I don't think anyone's going to argue that it all started with her, Toy Chica. Now, whenever she was first released, everyone was like, oh my god, she's so hot. And then we had the people that flocked to say, whoa! Just because she's a woman and looks attractive doesn't mean you have to sexualize her. Also, she's a robot, so that's really weird. And no one argued with that. No one argued with it at first. But then, skipping forward in the timeline a little bit, because kind of the sexualization of animatronics was kind of stagnant, with just fan art interpreting the animatronics as hot, which people still thought was weird, but there was no blatancy to it whenever the animatronics were released. But then we got Ballora, an animatronic that has two features that are blatantly sexual. And, like usual, people were like, oh my god, she's so hot and everything. And then the people who flocked to say, whoa, hey, there are reasons why she has to look like this. A, there is the big, widely accepted theory that she is supposed to represent Mrs. Afton, meaning that she is supposed to look more humanoid than most animatronics have in the past. Most animatronics have either been animal or they've been humans that look more cartoonish, but she looks blatantly human-like. Also, she's a dance instructor, so she has to look fit, to set an example. Okay. And then we got Funtime Chica, an animatronic that no one could argue that didn't look hot. Like, no one argued that she doesn't look hot. No one argues that she's not a smash. She's a total smash. And no one argued about it. Okay? But then we have the people that were like, oh yeah, she's smashed, but you shouldn't sexualize an animatronic still. And then we have the people like, oh my god, Scott would be so disappointed in us sexualizing animatronics. Oh, Jesus has left these people, blah 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 blah. And as I told you at the beginning of the video, I have a problem with the people who want to speak under Scott's words about how he wants us to interpret his work. Okay, let's continue. We got this from one of his spin-off games. Now you can make two arguments here. One, well, they're furries now, so it doesn't count. They're not animatronics anymore. They're obviously furries. And then we have the people who want to say, well, they're supposed to look cool, not sexual. Okay. You can make the same argument here as well. Maybe they're supposed to look cool, but not sexual. Okay. And I will be the first to say this fandom is not the most reliable when it comes to hotness, because they sexualize him, and most of all him. And most baffling, in my opinion, these two. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Scott doesn't want us to sexualize animatronics. Well, I want to make a 180 and circle back to this picture right here. I argued that, hey, because Scott made the animatronics into furries in this picture, it doesn't count as sexualizing them. I would argue, kind of. I guess the argument is solid tight. I mean, yeah, turning them into fleshy beings kind of neutralizes the animatronics can't be sexualized argument. Okay, fine. We're also going to circle back to this picture. I'm covering Roxanne because she's the least hot out of all four of these guys. We have Monty, Glamrock Chica, and Glamrock Freddy. Now, I can argue that all three of these guys, honestly, I think are pretty hot. More specifically, Glamrock Freddy because I love the ponytail. But you can make the same argument. Because they have been converted into furries, they are no longer considered hot, but they are still linked to the animatronics. There is blatant callbacks to the animatronics in their designs. So, you can still make the argument, but it still doesn't hold up as tightly. What I'm trying to say is that Scott is acknowledging that his animatronics can be sexualized in some sense. But people still want to speak under his word and say that he wouldn't want this. He wouldn't want us to do this. Okay. Alright. Let's say that Scott doesn't want us to sexualize his animatronics. Let's say that everyone has been doing it wrong, and they would be disappointing him. Alright. Okay. Then explain him. Okay? If you think that Scott doesn't acknowledge that his animatronics look blatantly hot, then why is he here? This is kind of fucking Scott throwing a fucking wrench straight into the argument that he doesn't want his animatronics to be sexualized. Look at this bitch! He's hot as hell, man! Look at all about him! He's hot! So if you want to say Scott wouldn't want us to sexualize his animatronics, then why the fuck does he exist? And Scott has a direct influence onto the covers of the books, because these books were made by him! Looking at all of the history of FNAF, and saying that he doesn't want us to sexualize his animatronics, or doesn't acknowledge that they can be sexualized, is fucking bullshit! We have Toy Chica. We have Balloon. We have Funtime Chica. And now we have him. Any of you who want to say that Scott doesn't want us to think any of his animatronics are hot, I want you to look at him, look at me, and then explain to me how the fuck that makes sense. Tell me how it makes sense. And then I'll agree with you, and I'll take this down. But unless you can convince me, I'm never going to agree. Scott acknowledges that these animatronics look hot and can be turned into hotness. Okay? So stop using his word against people.